One of Blender's superpowers is the flexibility of its interface. It can be extremely powerful, but if you start changing things without knowing what you're doing, it's easy to mess things up and get very frustrated very fast. Here's everything you need to know to master Blender's interface. The default layout workspace is divided into 4 areas, each displaying a different editor. At the top left corner of each area, there's a drop-down button that lists all of Blender's editors by category. Any area can display any editor and can be resized by clicking and dragging on the border. Right-clicking on the border brings up the Area Options menu. Vertical and horizontal split let you create a new area by splitting an existing one in 2. Your cursor becomes a line showing where the split will happen. Just click and then change the duplicate to whatever editor you need. You can also split an area by putting your mouse in the corner of one. When your mouse turns into crosshairs, just click and drag. Join Areas deletes one area by merging it with another. When you click Join Areas, the white border indicates the space that will become a single area. Your cursor becomes an arrow indicating which direction the merge will happen, and the shaded area will be deleted. If you hit Join Areas by accident, you can cancel by right-clicking or hitting Escape. Swap Areas swaps areas. This row of tabs along the top lets you instantly switch between a selection of built-in workspaces, each designed for a specific task. Double-click a tab to rename it, and right-click to duplicate, delete, reorder, or switch between them. The plus button on the right lets you add any of the built-in workspaces in their default configuration. Any of these can be modified to create a custom workspace. If you're anything like me, by now you've chopped up your workspace into as many areas as possible, and then immediately regretted that decision when you realized that undo doesn't undo this. It's worth pausing here to understand .blend files and the startup file. When you save a project, it creates a .blend file containing all the geometry and other data of your project. Even imported files like images and audio can be packed into the .blend if you choose to. It also saves any UI changes you've made, like custom workspaces. When you open the project again, even on another computer, all your files and workspaces will be right where you left them. When you launch Blender from scratch, however, it loads a startup.blend file with the default scene and workspaces. If you customize a workspace and then quit without saving, that workspace is gone. If you do save, that workspace is only available in that specific .blend file. To save UI changes permanently, click File, Defaults, Save Startup File. Now that file and all of its contents and UI changes will load every time you launch Blender. Say you accidentally saved a startup file you didn't want to. No problem. Click File, Defaults, Load Factory Settings. Now Blender is back to how it was when you first installed it. Click Save Startup File to make this permanent. Say you're collaborating with someone who uses custom workspaces that make no sense to you. Instead of double-clicking their .blend file, open Blender and click File, Open. In the File browser, click the gear at the top right and uncheck Load UI. This will ignore any UI changes saved in the .blend file and instead load their project into your startup file. Be aware that when you save, the new .blend file will have your workspaces instead. If you've messed up your workspace beyond repair, but you have work you need to save, add another copy of the layout workspace, delete the one you messed up, and rename the new one Layout. The same applies to any of the built-in workspaces. I'm not going to go into each of these, but it's worth taking a few minutes to check each of them out, see what editors they use, and think about why they're organized the way they are. If this is starting to feel overwhelming, keep in mind you don't need to know what every single editor or workspace is for, at least not yet. Most 3D professionals stick to a handful of tasks their whole career. Blender is so versatile you might never need to use most of it. It depends what you want to do. And as you figure that out, you'll have a better idea of which tools you need to spend time mastering and which you can safely ignore.